If you're jumping into our episodes now, like we're going through the whole Marvel Cinematic Universe, and Anthony has seen just like a couple of those. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another Marvel Movie Monday. We have next in line Thor, the original Thor that came out in 2011, excuse me. It was the fourth Marvel movie in the series of the MCU, and it is, in my personal opinion, fantastic.
The film was directed by Kenneth Branagh, who is a very well-known writer, director, and actor. He most recently has played the character Hercule Poirot in the Murder on the Orient Express trilogy, and I think that he's just a fantastic person to even choose to direct something like this.
And I think that ultimately he did a fantastic job with casting this entire movie, and I think that this has a very, very entertaining presentation for the audience. I remember back in May of 2011, I think it was May 5th, was the midnight showing for Thor. It was a midnight showing back when midnight showings were a thing, because those don't exist anymore.
Yeah, I haven't went to a midnight showing for so long.
Yeah, so they don't exist anymore.
Yeah.
And I think that they were really special. But I remember I was working at my job at the time. I was cooking. I was a chef at a care home, and I was rushing hard to get out of there, like, because I was like, I have to make it. I have to close up. And I don't even know why I was working so late there, but I eventually made it down to the theater, and I was about 20 minutes late, and I was so upset because I'm the kind of guy who gets there early. I'm the kind of guy who sits to watch a midnight release at like 6 a.m. Like I will camp out. I was on the news for when Star Wars came out, Force Awakens, because I camped out all day, like 6 a.m. I did it for the Dark Knight. I did it like I'm a dedicated hardcore fan. So
and yeah, you have every right to be upset because you're a Marvel fanboy. You're like, I'm there and I missed some of the movie. So
yeah, I got sucked into work that day, and that sucked. So I was like, obviously doing my job, and I had to miss the first like 25 minutes of the movie, and I was so sad because I knew getting there, I wasn't going to get the seat that I wanted. I like my seat, and I will get there early for my seat. And I did not get my seat. 6th row from the bottom, 7th chair in the middle. Like, I love my seat. And I didn't get to get it. In fact,
as long as I'm in the middle, I'm fine.
It was so packed, I had to sit on the steps of the theater.
Oh, wow.
So it sucked.
That must have really sucked.
Because we didn't, back then we at the theaters that we have around here, for those of you who don't know us, we live in North California, we don't have AMCs. We don't have Regals or anything like that. We have coming attractions theaters, which is great, to be fair. It's great. But it is a smaller, company than AMC, and we only have limited stuff.
Yeah.
So there was no, buying your seat ahead of time. You have to get there, first come, first serve. And we didn't really track all of the amount of seats per theater sold, the amount of tickets sold. Like we did later. I worked for the theater also the very next day. Or very next year, I mean. And you track for a rough estimate of around how many seats you have in the theater, how many tickets you will sell, because you don't want people to end up sitting on the steps. But we had people, for Marvel movies and big franchise releases, you have everybody standing and sitting on the steps and sitting on the ground, and it's just like pack as many people as you can in there to watch one show at midnight. And then later on, eventually they got smart and started doing like multiple theaters per release. So yeah, that's my Thor story real quick before we get into today's episode. But yeah, before we get into it, remember to hit that like and subscribe button, really support the channel. Or you can go over to patreon.com/thecalvincam, join one of our 3 tiers. It helps us out. So go do that. Yeah, anyway, we are talking about Thor.
Yeah, and this is the first time I've seen Thor, and I really enjoyed this movie. It was really well crafted, I should say, and the story was really well presented. It starts off with these three people, and one of them happens to be Jane Foster and her entourage. They are kind of like she's an astrophysicist, and they were kind of like chasing her readings. Like, this is all based off of her work. So she's in the New Mexico, and they're doing this thing, and all of a sudden Thor comes from the skies and hits her van. So we have the start of the movie there.
Yeah, and then it kind of like jumps backwards, and you kind of see how that event kind of played out. And we get obviously the cast, like I said, it's stacked. So we get to go to Asgard. We get to see kind of like the origins of, not the origins of Thor necessarily, but the origins of the story unfolding. And we meet Odin, who is played by Anthony Hopkins, who is fantastic.
Yeah, Anthony Hopkins is awesome, and I did love his narration. Like he excels at narrating in films. So I thought his presentation to this at the beginning was awesome.
And obviously we have Chris Hemsworth as Thor, who is a perfect casting, I believe. I don't think he's like as great of a casting as like Robert Downey Jr. I wouldn't say that, but at this point in time, I couldn't see anybody else playing Thor. So that's just me. But I feel like there's always room for somebody else to do that role. We get to meet Loki, who is Tom Hiddleston. We get to meet the Warriors 3, Volstagg, Hogan, and Fandral,
and
Lady Sif. And then we get Frigga. So we got a good introduction of a lot of people.
Wasn't Frigga? Isn't that Odin's wife, which is played by Renee Russo, which I haven't seen Renee Russo in like a long time.
Yeah.
Like, I haven't seen her. I mean, she's in Major League, she's in Outbreak, and she's in a lot of big blockbuster movies, but I haven't seen her forever. So I was kind of surprised to see her.
We also get Idris Elba as Heimdall, which I love. I love.
I loved his performance as Heimdall.
He's fantastic. But yeah, we get introduced to all of these characters pretty much near the start of the film, and eventually Chris Hemsworth, Thor, his arrogant self, gets into an argument with Odin, and is cast down to Earth. And it's like, that's the story. We have Thor reconnecting with who he is and who he's meant to be. And that is the journey. And along with meeting Jane Foster and Eric and Darcy.
Yeah.
And having this interaction of Midgard, which is Earth, and just how it's just interesting to see like an Asgardian god trying to fit in as a human on Earth.
Yeah, so he feels like he's out of place. Like he's breaking his coffee cup after he says it's good. Like, she's like, would you stop? He's like, another. She's like, would you stop breaking things? And you just feel like he's out of place. He goes into the pet store and asks for a horse. So he's trying to fit in as, with the mortals and, on Earth. So I thought that was really cool too.
Yep. And then we have, of course, the secret plot with Laufey and Loki,
which when Thor goes to is it Nilfgaard?
Nilfheim.
Yeah. He goes to Nilfheim, and we have that whole sequence with finding out who Loki basically finds out who he is.
Yep. He's actually the son of Laufey, and
Yeah.
he was adopted as a baby by the Asgardians. So we get this kind of like resentment towards Odin from not only Thor but Loki as well. So
Yeah.
another thing that I want to touch on before we get a little bit further is I this is one of my favorite Marvel things, Marvel sayings, is when they do cast Thor and Anthony Hopkins throws his hammer and is like, he whoever possesses the power, may he be worthy, will gain the power of Thor. And I love that so much. So and then I feel like the tossing of the hammer is a very important thing as well, just because on Earth, what do we get? We get a sideshow with it. Yeah.
Like at the beginning, you have people having barbecues. You have all these people out there with their trucks trying to pull the hammer out of the ground, trying to pull it out themselves, and that's where the truck scene is with Stan Lee.
Yeah.
And I thought that was amazing. Another good cameo by Stan Lee on that one.
It's hilarious. It's definitely a top cameo for me with him. Not my favorite one, but it's up there. Like, it's good. And yeah, like Thor is such a great, like, this is a really fun and well-paced movie.
It's very well paced, and it keeps you engaged the whole time with all the mythos with the with the Norse and in how it is in the Marvel universe, the way it's presented in the beginning and in the middle of the film. You come back. I mean, you start at Earth, and then you go to Asgard, and you go to that universe. Then you come back to Earth, and it's just really well paced when it does that transition.
And I like that the movie is so self-contained too.
Yeah,
because you'll experience this because Anthony, for those of
it's my first time.
If you're jumping into our episodes now, like we're going through the whole Marvel Cinematic Universe, and Anthony has seen just like a couple of those films, so
just a handful.
It's gonna be like really interesting and really cool to watch his reactions and how he thinks of this whole universe as it unfolds. But you will see the kind of like content in the movies that we get.
Well, I'm also knowing
ones.
where these locations are from playing Marvel Snap. Now I know what the Bifrost is because I didn't know what that was.
Yeah.
So stuff like that. It's cool.
Yeah. So you'll get to see like that these movies go from very self-contained, especially in this first phase, as they call it, phase one. And it goes into a little bit more like it's not so self-contained. It's a little bit more everything's connected to everything and everything's all over the place, and that's you'll see.
I kind of see that, but we'll get to the we'll get to
that later. But
we'll get to that end.
Right now we're sticking with the really grounded stuff. And Thor is just a prime example. It has really great just really great plot. There's a little bit of action. There's really not that much action in this movie.
There isn't. The only sequence where we have some action is when Loki casts Destroyer down.
Yeah, and the Destroyer actually I think is really cool. And
I really thought he was well done in terms of his special effects and how he was presented on screen, because they didn't really overdo it with him.
Exactly, and
you only get to see him twice. You see him when he's protecting the Frost Giant's cache.
I remember everybody was like upset at his design, but I really loved it. And I think that was just the comic book fans not being happy about the way that he looked compared to the comics. But I think that he looked cool. And when they were fighting, one of the things that I loved was when he twists his body, like when his like body rotates around because he's like a bunch of slits, and I love it. Like, I just think it's really cool. Or his like gap in his face opens up and it's just beam. Like,
yeah, I thought he was really cool, but like I said, I'm not a super buff on the Marvel comics, so I can see why that crowd might have been upset about it. But
like,
I know is Marvel Snap.
Yeah,
I've seen him. I know Destroyer from Marvel Snap, honestly, and then now he plays a role by me going through this MCU. We're going through this journey together. Yeah. I see him portrayed, and I was just like, that's Destroyer, and he's cool.
Well, yeah. Well, Marvel Snap is heavily the based off of the MCU. It's not based off the comics so much. The the comics, like I'm a huge fan of comics. I obviously have not read all of the comics out there, so I'm not going to say that I like really know my knowledge, but I know a good amount of knowledge, and I really love comic books in general. I know Spider-Man very well, as anybody who knows me knows. But Thor, back to Thor. Good battle, good ending too. Like, Thor actually comes in and believes himself, and he reveals himself as Thor, and that's when Jane's like, "Oh my God, he is."
Yeah, you
he's
get that whole
Thor.
you get that actual sequence when he fights Destroyer and all that stuff. It's really cool.
Yeah, I love this movie a lot, and Anthony, I just want to know, what'd you think of it?
I really liked it.
So rate this movie for us.
For me, this movie is gonna be there. It's gonna be alongside the first Iron Man movie. It's a 5.
Nice. Wow.
It's a 5.
That's heavy.
I really liked it. Everything about this movie was great. I thought the music was good. I thought all the performances, especially Tom Hiddleston and Chris Hemsworth, like, they were amazing in this movie. Anthony Hopkins was good. Natalie Portman was amazing, but she's an awesome actress anyways. Even Stellan Skarsgård that played Eric, even Darcy was cool. I just thought the cast of this movie was really good. We didn't talk about it briefly, but I thought all the cinematography in this movie, like when the shot, they're just all pan shots, like when Anthony Hopkins is narrating the beginning, and you have the Bifrost and just the bridge and just Asgard and just the way it's portrayed, like all those shots are amazing.
Yeah.
So you have those. The pacing in this movie was perfect. I thought I was engaged through the experience this whole time watching this movie, so that was solid as well. There really wasn't anything bad to say about this movie. I mean, you even saw more of Agent Coulson.
Yeah,
I forget, we forgot to mention that in the show, but it showed more Shield roots of like why Nick Fury is in Shield, are wanting to know more about what was going on.
And I like it too because it's not like overbearing amount of like tie-in information. It's just like, hey, Shield exists, and that's all you need to know. Really.
Yeah, because you really don't see in Iron Man. You see Agent Coulson for like 4 minutes, and then in the second Iron Man, you see him again, but you don't really see him for very long. He's like in a couple of scenes,
just a couple.
But this is where Agent Coulson's like in the movie.
Yeah,
so I thought that was cool.
Yeah, it's really good stuff.
So, anyways, 5 out of 5. I think this was a brilliant movie. It's good for it's basically it shows the material for someone that isn't into into Marvel comics and just is being introduced to this character. Like, I think it's a perfect like
throw you in point, kind of like the first Iron Man. Yeah. So that's why it's a 5 for me. Awesome. If I were to rate this movie, I would give it I'd probably give it I would give it a 4. I give it a 4. I think that it is fantastic. Don't get me wrong. I love it so much. There's a couple of things in it that I wish we had some more, like fighting in it, just because I know this character very well. And I know that we should have, he's Thor. There should be a little bit more, but as all in all, I love how self-contained it is. I love the cinematography. I love the MCU scores. All of the scores for all of the movies are fantastic. So I will never ever dock the music. And obviously the performances and the cast are great. But I just think that it's a pretty short movie. Amongst the other MCU movies, it's not as long as I'd like it to be.
It's under 2 hours.
Yeah. So I just wish that we had a little bit more content. All in all, thinking about it, 4 out of 5. So let's get into Marvel fun fact or Marvel trivia for me.
We've got this next round of Marvel trivia. I'm going to try to get Calvin.
Let's go.
I got him about 3 times last time, so let's see if I can keep that up. All right, starting off here. Hawkeye has how many children?
He has 3.
You are correct, Calvin. He has 3. What is Thor's first line in the MCU?
Another. No, I don't know.
You want me to give you a hint like I did last time?
No, it's okay.
You
Well,
sure?
Sure. Whatever.
I'll give you a hint. You give me a hint.
All right, whatever.
This is the hint. It's when Odin and Loki, when they're little kids, they're talking and they're walking through, the throne room.
Yeah, I remember.
He says something. And that's all I'll give you, because that's where he says this.
I don't know.
Okay. When I'm king, I am going to hunt down monsters and slay them all.
And that is a very Thor thing.
Yep.
All right.
I got him on one.
I mean, that's good. That's good. I just watched the movie too. I don't like.
I thought for sure you were going to get it. Okay, on to the next question for Calvin. What was the name of the missile that Tony Stark was demonstrating in Afghanistan just before his convoy was attacked?
The Jericho.
The Jericho is correct. Okay, that was easy for him. Okay, next question. I thought you were going to pretty much know it. After escaping from the U.S., where was Bruce Banner hiding and working in a
Brazil?
He didn't look. Calvin didn't even let me finish the question. He already knew it, but we just did watch this movie.
Yeah.
So it was Brazil. Okay, next one. What was the last thing Thor said in Avengers Endgame? Am I going to get him with the quotes?
Avengers Endgame?
Yep.
Oh, shit.
What was the last thing Thor said in Avengers Endgame?
The last thing he said. The last thing he said in Avengers Endgame was he was in the spaceship with Star-Lord, and they were debating on who's the captain. I don't know who's actually in charge. And I guess he just says of course.
Yep, you got it.
Yeah,
I can't believe it. He was taking a while to build up to the answer, but he got it.
Of course.
Of course.
Of course I got it.
Yes, of course you did get it. All right. How many you want? Do you want 2 more or 1 more?
No, let's go 2 more.
Okay, 2 more. Here we got 2 more. All right, here you go. What was the name of the radiation that Steve Rogers was subjected to that transformed him into a super soldier?
The name of the radiation.
Yeah.
This is a hard one.
Think deep. You might be able to get it.
I don't think I'm going to get it because
All right. It was the Vita Ray. The Vita Ray or Vita Ray.
Got it, but wouldn't have got it. Remember it, but wouldn't have got it.
Oh, man. All right. The last question here for Calvin. What was the name of Jane Foster's ex-boyfriend whose name is a fake driver's license that was given to Thor?
Oh, my God.
I might get him.
No, stop. This is his alias name. Shoot.
TikTok.
I can't. It's hard. It's funny because I picture the character in the way that I've seen him as this version of himself, as this version of Thor. And he's a teacher.
I can give you a hint.
I guess.
In the movie, remember she said she gives him a t-shirt and he says, "What is this?" And the name is on My Name Is. That's the only hint I can really give
That
you.
is, damn it.
My attention
Okay.
to detail is growing with these movies.
That's good. That's good. I don't know.
It is Dr. Donald Blake.
Damn it. Damn it. All right. Good. Cool. Whatever.
Calvin's upset with himself.
I am upset with myself. It's so basic. That's basic comic knowledge. It's basic.
Anyways, that's the end of the Marvel trivia for this segment on this episode.
All right. I guess that'll do it then. Stick around for Mondays. We do Marvel Mondays, and our next movie will be Captain America, the First Avenger. So hope you're looking forward to that. And as usual, we have our normal schedule going. So stay tuned, like and subscribe, all that jazz. See you later.
See you on the next Marvel episode.
Thank you all so much for tuning into the Calvin Cam podcast. We appreciate you all so very, very much. And, you know, if you like us, hit that like and subscribe button down below. It really helps us out, as well as you can go over to our social media platforms like Instagram or X and follow us over there. We like to communicate and build our community up, as well as you could also go to patreon.com/thecalvincam and join one of our 3 tiers that we offer. We offer a couple of different benefits per tier, and it's good stuff, and it would really, really help us, and we'd really appreciate it, of course. So thank you all so much for tuning in, and we'll catch you later.